On a quiet Monday morning, a single post on Truth Social sent shockwaves throughout Wall Street. It wasn't about tariffs, it wasn't about taxes, it was about the credit card in your wallet. What if the President of the United States would wake up one day and decide that the credit card company is charging too much and simply order them to stop? What if that order delivered via social media post worth billions of dollars of the market cap of America's biggest bank in minutes? And what if the legal mechanisms to actually enforce that order doesn't exist yet? If the threat alone is enough to change the game. Welcome to Business Insights Daily. I'm your host Shashank. Today, talking about President Donald Trump's proposal to cap credit card rates at 10% for 1 year. This announcement came via Truth Social, but Trump stated the cap would be effective January 20th, 2026, exactly 1 year after his inauguration. In his post, Trump criticized current credit card rates of 20 to 30%, calling them exploitative of the American public. He warned issuers that failure to comply would be considered a violation of laws. Problem: specific legal mechanism for enforcement, whether by executive order or legislation, remains completely unclear. The clarity did not match. The market reacted instantly. Bank stocks sold off hard in pre-market and regular trading as investors scrambled to calculate the damage to profitability. So why did the market freak out? Because credit cards are a massive profit center for banks. The average credit card APR in America is around 22% for people who carry a balance, and about 45% of cardholders do. That interest compounds every month. Banks like JP Morgan, Chase, Citigroup, Bank of America, and Capital One make billions from credit card interest. It's a high margin business with minimal physical infrastructure. That rate drops to 10%, the math collapses. Analysts immediately started running scenarios. If this happens, how much do we lose per quarter? How much do we write down in expected revenue? The answer: billions, maybe tens of billions, depending on how long it lasts and how many people are affected. The pre market sell off wasn't irrational, it was a rational response to an existential threat to a cash cow. Here's what gets interesting and murky. Can the president unilaterally cap interest rates? Not really. Historically, interest rate caps are set by Congress, not by executive order. The president doesn't have any statutory authority to declare a price ceiling on a private financial product. Trump's statement believes he can, or at least he's willing to test the boundaries. And here are a few paths he could take. He could issue an order and dare somebody to challenge it in court. It would likely be brought in judge, but the chaos in between could force banks to comply voluntarily. He could work with allies in Congress to pass law. This is the prosper way, it is slow and requires votes. Or he could direct agencies like the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau (CFPB) crack down on unfair rates and make life miserable for non-compliant companies. The fact that the legal mechanism is totally unclear is actually part of the strategy. It creates uncertainty, and uncertainty is leverage. From a business negotiation standpoint, this is a classical trap. Make a big, bold demand, create urgency, force the other side to react. Banks now have a choice: fight back publicly and risk looking like villains who want to keep exploiting people, negotiate quietly and offer a voluntary rate reduction to avoid regulation, or call his bluff and hope the courts or Congress stop him. None of those options are great, and if the cap ever happens, the threat of it changes the conversation. It puts credit card at a political agenda, it gives populist lawmakers ammunition, and it puts CEOs on the hot seat. What this means for you. So, if you carry a credit card, should you get excited? Maybe, but with caution. If this cap actually helps, your 24% APR card might suddenly become a 10% card. That's real money saved every month, but there are likely consequences. Tighter credit standards, banks will approve fewer credit cards, especially to people with lower credit scores. Annual fees, late fees, and foreign transaction fees. Banks will look for other ways to make up lost revenue. And this cashback and travel points you love, They're subsidized by interest. If the interest drops, rewards probably go too. In other words, a rate cap might help people in debt, but good people who use credit responsibly and never carry a balance. So, as we watch the story unfold, the big question isn't can he do it, but it's what happens when a president treats financial regulations like a negotiations and tweets the opening bid. Thank you for listening to Business Insights Daily. I'm your host, Shashank, and I'll see you next time.